So is living in Spring Hill, Florida that much cheaper than Tampa? I think it's going to surprise you when we go over the 4 top areas where people spend their money on and how much you can actually save by just coming a little bit further north and seeing what Spring Hill has to offer. My name is Andre Janelle. I'm coming from the Adams Group Experience over at EXP, and I help people like you every single day make a decision on whether or not Spring Hill is the right place to be for your family. So if that's something that interests you, or if you have questions on that and don't want to make a huge mistake in your purchasing decision, my contact information is in the description. You can text me, call me, set up an appointment, whatever you need. I am so happy to talk to you and just figure out what is best for your family. Number 1, home prices. So let's talk about how drastically different certain home prices are in Tampa in relation to Spring Hill. So just to give you some perspective, the average cost of a home in Pinellas County is $403,548. The average home price in Hillsborough County is $393,695. The average home price in Spring Hill is $323,000. Okay, so we already, just by the law of averages, are looking at an $80,000 difference by being in this area. But now let's take that a step further and look at some actual homes that make the most sense. Now, I pulled up a builder who makes the exact same home in Tampa and also Spring Hill. So in Tampa, a 4-bed, 2-bath, 1,800 square foot home by this builder is going to run you $449,000. But if you were to buy that same home here in Spring Hill, you could get that exact same home for $352,000. That is about a $100,000 difference in home prices just by being a little bit further north of Tampa. So we took that a step further and we said, well, what about other builders? What else is going on over there? So we found another one, 3-bed, 2-bath, 1,700. Done by 2 different builders, but the exact same square footage, similar build quality, and one of those in Tampa is going for $414,000, and the other one in Spring Hill area is going for $318,000. Again, close to $100,000 difference in home prices. But what about if you're a renter? How much different is it if you're renting in Tampa as opposed to buying? Well, the average rent in Tampa is about $2,500 for a 3-bedroom rental in Tampa. But in Spring Hill, that same rental is going to cost you $2,000. So we can see that homes and rentals are much cheaper just going a little bit further north. And you could almost get identically the exact same thing, but you got to be willing to commute. And the commute is about 45 minutes north, depending where you are. So if commuting is not the concern for you, then it's important for you to look at whether or not getting the exact same home for $100,000 less is a big deal. All right, so that is number 1, home prices. That's what we're looking at when it comes to Spring Hill versus Tampa. So let's talk about point number 2, taxes. So taxes, if you're not from Florida, can be a little bit confusing. So I'm going to break it down to you how it works. So in Florida, when you purchase a home, you will get reassessed the following year at close to market value. So now if the person has been living in the home that you're buying for a long time, they might have a tax rate or a taxable value that is significantly lower than what you would expect. You cannot use that to make a decision. Okay, you will be in a world of hurt if you don't know that ahead of time. Tax rate is based off of something called the millage rate. And the millage rate is your cost per $1,000. And in Tampa, that millage rate is about $19.50 per 1,000. Okay, and that's not including any special assessments that might occur. But in Spring Hill, that millage rate is about $15.38 per 1,000. Now that is a significantly lower millage rate in Hernando, where Spring Hill is located, as opposed to Tampa and some of the counties surrounding that area. Now, millage rates will vary based on the property that you own, and those properties might have special assessments or special taxing authorities that might increase that, but you need to know that ahead of time. But what does that mean when you translate it into a home? So let's talk about millage rate. So the millage rate and taxes on that $449,000 home at a $19.50 millage rate is $87.55. That same $355,000 home here in Spring Hill, the taxes will be about $55.30. So taxes and your millage rate will look drastically different whether or not you're living in Spring Hill or Tampa. Now, we talked about your homestead. What is homesteading? Homesteading is a discount on your taxes. Florida has something called Save Your Homes Act, which caps on your primary residence your increase in taxes at about 3%. Now, if you do not have a homestead, your taxes can increase up to a maximum of 10%. The other thing that occurs is if you already owned a home in Florida, you could do something called homestead portability, which is moving your homestead over from your current house to your new house. If you don't know what I'm talking about, again, reach out, talk to me. I could explain it a lot better. Okay, number 3, insurance. So if you have a more expensive home, it's going to be more expensive to insure because the replacement cost of that home is generally going to be higher. So what does that mean? That means a higher insurance premium. And a lot of the confusion about insurance is based off of the fact that the prices have gone up and the cost to replace the homes have gone up. So has the insurance premiums. Now, if you also live in a flood impacted area or you have any other concerns on your home, there might be other things that are driving your insurance prices higher. But the most important thing that's going to drive your insurance cost is going to be the cost to replace the home and the cost to replace the contents inside of the home. So when you understand that, you can understand that the higher priced homes are going to have higher premiums associated with it. So if premiums are a concern for you, then you have to evaluate your price on the home. And as your price and value on the home goes up, your insurance is likely going to go up with it. So number 4, living expenses. What does it cost to actually live up here? Now, you'd be surprised at some of the things that are more expensive in Spring Hill as opposed to Tampa, which to me is kind of crazy. If you were to go to a gym in Spring Hill and go to a gym in Tampa, it is about the same price. But what about things like restaurants? Chipotle. I love Chipotle. A steak bowl in Spring Hill is about 50 cents more than a steak bowl in Tampa. So it's actually more expensive to eat Chipotle in Spring Hill than it would be actually in Tampa. But what about groceries? Now, what I found when I look at Walmart, which is one of the big groceries out here, people tend to shop on it a lot. They have their prices on their website. There are some things that are cheaper in Tampa and more expensive in Spring Hill, and then vice versa is true. So we saw a gallon of milk is more expensive in Spring Hill than it is in Tampa. But we also saw that eggs are more expensive in Tampa and cheaper in Spring Hill. Now, is this going to be true amongst all grocery stores? No. Is it going to change your grocery store dramatically, your grocery bill? I don't think it will. But it's also good to know that that is a price concern that is one of the larger ones after you go to food, taxes, and insurance. Now, what about gas? Gas in Tampa, I found the cheapest gas station was at $3.04 right now. The cheapest gas station in Spring Hill right now is $3.11. So the biggest actual change in prices is what I saw in movie theaters. A movie ticket in Tampa is about $13.50, where in Spring Hill you can go to the Spring Hill Cinema and get one for $8. And these are all nice movie theaters and things like that. So that's one of the biggest changes that I saw, which is going to be in entertainment. The cost to bowl, the cost to do an activity, the cost to do things is going to be cheaper up here in Spring Hill as opposed to Tampa. So this is something that you need to consider when it comes to making a decision to move. Also in Spring Hill, you can have less of those options. While Tampa, you might have 10 or 15 movie theaters throughout the area to choose from. Here, we might only have 3. So when you're looking at whether or not you want to live in Spring Hill, you have to take some of these things into consideration. So if you want the same house at a cheaper price, you could always come up here to Spring Hill. And if your commute is to Tampa, just factor that into your decision. So as always, my contact information is in the description. If you need to have a conversation on anything I just said, I wanted to keep this video relatively short to give you the highlights of what it is that we're talking about. So if you want a more detailed conversation, questions, anything like that, reach out to me, schedule something, or just shoot me a text. Let me know that you're watching the video, and I hope you have a blessed day, and I'll see you in the next video.